It's such a pleasure to welcome you on the Battle of the Ballot. Remember, the poll verdict is after, and we're talking about the politics that has followed. Let's take this straight across to our guests who are joining us right here on ET Now. Priyanka Chaturvedi from the Congress Party, GVL Narasimha Rao of the BJP, and Mr. Majeed Memon of the NCP join us right here on the channel to take forward the action that's unfolding, and it's all largely centered around Goa today. I'm going to speak about the bigger picture, but I do want to begin with Goa. And Priyanka Chaturvedi, let me begin this discussion with you. I think your leader Rahul Gandhi earlier in Parliament today said that the BJP is stealing the mandate in Goa. Would you expound upon that? What really amounts to stealing the mandate at this stage?
I'll tell you what it means. Firstly, Goa, when we see victories and losses, we do not see victories and losses by a huge margin. Here you have seen a BJP government which has been consistently voted out of power, very convincingly voted out of power, where the Chief Minister has lost by a huge margin. 6 of his ministers have lost by a huge margin, and suddenly you are sending in a Chief Minister to Goa, giving him an almost backdoor entry just because he happened to be a previous Chief Minister of Goa who did not even contest there. The single largest party is not called in by the governor, despite sending her a letter requesting her for an appointment on the 12th after we became the single largest party. Did not acknowledge the letter, did not even ask the single largest party to come forward and make an attempt at forming the government. Did not happen. And what you saw was the defense minister flying down to Goa and trying to make these permutations, combinations, and trying to come back into power despite being decisively voted out of power. So this is when you steal forming the government, or steal power from the people who actually deserve it. People of Goa have voted them out, voted the Chief Minister, sitting Chief Minister out, along with 6 of his ministers, yet the governor did not think it fit to first give the chance to the single largest party. And let me tell you, constitutionally, it may not be the governor's prerogative to ensure that the single largest party gets the mandate to try and form a government first, but it does become important that the governor at least gives them a hearing and wants to know whether they are in a position to form the government or no. If you look at all past instances, whichever are being quoted, there has never been any such incident in history where the sitting Chief Minister and his cabinet ministers have lost it so convincingly. So this is where stealing a victory from the jaws of defeat is something that the Bharatiya Janata Party is doing through the power that they wield at the center, through the governor that they have appointed, and through exchange of money.
So there are some glaring allegations that Priyanka Chaturvedi is making there, and those are allegations that echo the Congress Party stand on this matter. GVL Narasimha Rao, I'm going to ask you that question. I'm going to add on a question to that. While your finance minister has been on record to say that it is not stealing of mandate, it's unsuccessful petitioning that's happening in the Supreme Court, the fact of the matter is it was a fractured mandate. You did not have absolute majority, and Mr. Parsekar, the sitting Chief Minister, lost his seat. This is why the Congress Party is calling it stealing mandate. How are you going to counter that point?
I think these are completely baseless allegations of a party that is unable to really either win the mandate of the people or able to really convince anybody to really join them in a post-poll coalition. First of all, there is no precedent that if a incumbent chief minister loses, it doesn't matter. That party cannot come to power. This is rubbish. There is nowhere in the constitution. The best organization, the best institution to interpret the constitution is the Honorable Supreme Court. They have gone to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court heard this on priority and found no merit in their allegations against the governor. And the governor's decision has been upheld by the court, because the court had the complete authority to stall even the swearing-in ceremony if they so felt it was necessary. So I think, therefore, the complaints of the Congress Party are basically simply a crying wolf when they could not really carry their own, put together their own post-poll coalition for a convincing majority. And as far as the numbers are concerned, 3 of the MLAs who have joined us, the MGP was a pre-poll, they were a coalition partner in the government that lasted until 2 months ago. and independents, some of them were supported by the BJP in the elections where we did not field our candidates. So naturally they would join the BJP after the elections. And for the Congress party's inability to choose even a legislature party leader, they cannot stop complaining against the governor and the BJP. It is their incompetence in a way, and their inability to put together a post-poll coalition. And the governor is duty bound to actually install a government that is likely to prove its majority on the floor of the House. We have demonstrated such support. We have shown the numbers. We have provided enough credible evidence to the governor that these MLAs are supporting us. So what is the Congress party crying about? Do they have the numbers even at this moment before the swearing in? Are they able to demonstrate support now? If they don't have, why are they crying? I think in terms of popular vote also, the BJP finished 4 percentage points ahead of the Congress party. So what is this mandate that they are talking about? They don't have a majority either on their own or in a post-poll coalition. They don't have the popular support in terms of vote. So we have both the legitimacy and also the legislative majority to be in government. And therefore, I think the Congress party's complaints only mirror their incompetence and mirror their unwarranted complaints and nothing else.
You are crying wolf and you're perhaps crying your incompetence is the charge that's coming in from the BJP. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you want to counter that?
So a couple of things. If he talks about popular voting pattern and versus first past the post system, so is the Bharatiya Janata Party willing to change that as part of the constitution that we have, that the ones who have more seats are likely to form the government? If that is the case, then the 31% vote share that the Prime Minister got, or given that they don't have any moral authority to govern the country right now. So this excuse has to stop. Secondly, he talks about legislative party, electing a legislative party leader. I would want to know who was the BJP's legislative party leader. You all have gone, usurped all the positions, you've dropped in a Manohar Parrikar, you've got in a Nitin Gadkari to start these negotiations, and the independents that you talk about are people coming from Goa Forward Party, which was going hammer and tongs after Mr. Parrikar. Just before election, they spoke against Mr. Parrikar, called him a dictator, called him words like Dalal, and now they are now aligning with them. So we would want to know that what was exchanged, under what circumstances has this changed, and why is it that the governor did not give the single largest party a chance to stake a claim at the government first, forming the government first, when we had sent her a request letter on the 12th itself. So, you know, excusing this as an excuse, and let me tell you about the Supreme Court mandate also. The Supreme Court has said they wouldn't want to take the position of the governor in taking a call like this. However, they would want the government to prove its majority on Thursday itself. So this is where the Supreme Court has intervened. So you cannot just, discard this entire observation coming from the Supreme Court. Extremely unfortunate that you all twisted to, further your own purposes. What is very clear is that morally you all have lost, and legally it might be permissible, but morally it's not permissible, and people of Goa are watching, and not just watching, they are protesting on the streets today.
GVL Narasimha Rao, you want to counter that? I see a finger being raised with you.
Exhibiting its own, as I said, incompetence and inability to do political management. Number one, I said only political legitimacy comes from the kind of popular vote, popular mandate that we have got, which is far ahead of the Congress party. That's only political legitimacy. But what you need to be in government, you have to demonstrate a legislative majority. We have been able to do it. The Congress party does not have it even at this moment. So do they want the governor to play musical chairs? So simply call you, allow you to indulge in horse trading, gain support from MLAs, buy them over, divide them or split the other parties? Is that what the Congress intends to do? And is the Congress party actually auctioning the leader of the legislature party to somebody? And that's the reason why they were waiting for the highest bidder to bid for that position? Is it that the Congress, is that the reason why Congress party was indecisive about electing a legislature party leader? It should not have taken them 5 minutes. No, stealing public money, has been your priority. Stealing public money, people have seen for 10 years of UPA at the center.
people
Now,
of Goa protesting
stealing
on the
public
streets
money is what
outside
the
Raj
Congress is
Bhavan,
known for.
outside
For
the
10
Raj
years you
Bhavan,
have done
protesting
that.
against the governor,
And now
protesting
you
against
wanted
Mr.
highest bidder
Parikar,
for your legislature
categorically
party
saying
post.
that Mr. Parikar is not their CM.
Okay, I'm going to
He did not
intervene.
even contest an election, and the sitting chief minister
Right.
lost his seat by a margin of
Right.
more than 8,000 votes.
I-
So you'll have no moral legitimacy
I'm
to
gonna-
rule or govern
The court
the
has
state of Goa.
upheld the governor's decision. There is nothing.
Court has
There is
not
Let me-
upheld.
let me just
Court
please
wants
come in.
you to go in.
You have done this.
No.
GVL
Court has-
Narasimha Rao and
court
Priyanka
has asked
Chaturvedi,
you to
I'm going to take over this show. And Majeed Memon, my question is really directed at you. Priyanka Chaturvedi and GVL Narasimha Rao, just hold your thoughts there. I'm going to get Majeed Memon amongst this mist as well. And, you know, the Congress claims that the BJP has stolen the mandate in Goa. The BJP says you were too sanguine, you did not do anything, you perhaps would have indulged in horse trading, and so we have put together a coalition. My question really is, if it's a fractured mandate, and of course, it's incumbent upon the governor to call the single largest party. Which side of these two arguments? I mean, legally speaking, there's nothing illegal that has happened. But morally speaking, Congress was the single largest party. The BJP could stitch together a post-poll coalition, which the Congress did not. So there are two ways to look at this entire argument. What is your view on this?
See, firstly, Supriya, let me make it very clear that the discretion enjoyed by the governor under the circumstances is not unbridled, unprincipled, or that he can act according to political motivations or political considerations and may invite anybody he or she would want. This is not a correct position. Now, Congress has not wholly lost the ground or has not failed in Supreme Court, because Supreme Court has, in the circumstances, deemed it fit that without interfering into legislative affairs where the CM's swearing in has already been fixed, and we would not disturb that, but at the same time we would prepone the true exhibition of strength on the floor of the House, say within a day's time or 48 hours time, not fortnight's time or so. This, therefore, it is nobody's defeat or victory as far as court verdict is concerned from today. But now let us come back to what is the role of the governor. Now here the arithmetic has been so very clear in the sense that 20 was the halfway mark, 21 is the requisite number that one political party or one particular group would have come forward with to the governor for the purpose of installation of a new government. Now in this case, there was a much difference. Look at the single largest party 17 and look at the claiming party 13. I can understand if it was 16, 17 or if it was 15, 16. 17, 13, there is a wide margin in the sense that 4 here and then 4 there, and 17 plus 1 NCP, which is just attached as a matter of fact. So I would suggest that Congress did not have 17, but Congress had 18, because NCP is deemed to be with Congress. And I don't think anybody has ever said, or BJP said, that NCP is not with them, or NCP is even not with them when they are demonstrating those 21. They are going independent of NCP. So 18 people on one side, 13 on the other side. You see, the governor ought to have considered that, well, I must ask those who are having 18 people that can you reach 21? And if we have no response within a reasonable time, then certainly the governor was fully justified in turning to the other side. But it has not happened so.
Okay, Mr. Menon, I get your point. I think a lot of questions about the role of the governor in this one. I get your point. I think the role of the governor is to be questioned, and he's right that with 21 on one side and the rest on the other. But Priyanka Chaturvedi, let me ask you the question, because I also want to get in a reaction from GVL Narasimha Rao on this. Amidst this entire process, and even if I draw inferences from Manipur, you know, the Congress may have lost in Uttarakhand and UP, and that was a decisive loss, so I'm not going to talk about that. One in Punjab. This tally could well have been 3-2. By the end of this entire contest, it could well be 4-1. So a lot of people are questioning, does the Congress not have the hunger? Is the Congress too laid back? Is the Congress not aggressive enough? Does it not want to be in power? Does it not, you know, long for governance? And that's really the big question. And as a political outfit, you cannot look down upon, you know, political givings.
No, firstly, please, let's just understand this context very clearly and perspective very clearly. by undermining democracy or not following constitutional norms does not mean there's a hunger to govern and justify the unethical means that have been adopted by the Bharatiya Janata Party to justify what they've done. Let's understand, the governor has a responsibility. The constitution has given the governor that responsibility. It becomes imperative for her to give the single largest party a chance. That is an assumption which is a given. Now saying that they had more hunger would be, trying to totally do away with the charges of horse trading or even trying to figure out how this was done. A CISF Jawan picking up an independent MLA from Manipur airport, Imphal airport, and taking him to an unknown destination just because on the orders of the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is in power at the center, does not become legitimate, does not become the hunger, the dil mange more that we keep hearing all the time. This is illegitimate, this is unethical, undemocratic, this is death of democracy, killing democracy in the broad daylight. So this is what the Bharatiya Janata Party is practicing, and please let's not justify it by saying they have shown more hunger, they have shown more agility, they have shown more flexibility to form the government. It should have been the chance that was given to the single largest party first, and that is why the question needs to be asked of the government and the power center in Delhi as to how this was subverted. And we have not seen this happen, this is not the first time this has happened. We have seen this happen in Arunachal, we have seen this happen in Uttarakhand, where the Supreme Court had to intervene and remind the central government that they cannot misuse the powers bestowed on them by the people of this country.
GVL Narasimha Rao, I don't just want you to counter that, I also want you to answer one more question for me. While you have said that the Congress party has done it in the past and your finance minister has written a blog on this, how there are various instances of how it has been done in the past, my question also is that you're obviously lusting for power, and which is why you're agile, which is why you're flexible. But the question also, sir, is that what are you willing to do to stay in power? And if you are going to do the Congress style quote-unquote, tactics that they've done in the past, the country has voted for you precisely because they wanted the Congress out. And you, according to you, you're doing exactly what the Congress did. So how are you different?
No, I think this is completely a baseless allegation, because the parties that have joined us have joined on the promise that Mr. Parrikar would be made the chief minister. And Mr. Memon is conveniently including NCP in the Congress. In that case, MGP should also be clubbed with the BJP. We've been coalition partners for 5 years. MGP fought elections separately, so did NCP. MGP fought separately because they wanted Mr. Parrikar to be declared chief ministerial candidate. And having not been done, they fought elections separately. And now that we have declared Mr. Parrikar as CM candidate, their support was automatically ensured for the BJP. So I think you cannot conveniently interpret things for your own convenience. The fact is that the Supreme Court has heard the petition today, the Congress party's petition, making allegations against the institution of governor, and the Supreme Court has dismissed this petition and told the Congress party you don't have the numbers. And the Supreme Court, in a sense, upheld the governor's decision to invite Mr. Parrikar. So why are you going about making these political charges? People can really very well make out that the Congress party was hungry for money. They wanted the highest bidder in the Congress party to bid for the legislature party leader to become the chief minister of Goa, and that's the Congress culture. We've seen that happen in Karnataka. We've seen that every part of the country. Stealing public money is something that comes naturally to the Congress party.
If that's a charge you wish to make. No, I just want to understand one thing here, and I won't let him get away with it.
He has relinquished the office of the defense minister. He has relinquished a very important position at the center.
GVL Narasimha Rao, GVL Narasimha Rao, Priyanka Chaturvedi has a point to make.
Sacrificed by Mr. Parrikar.
He's come via...
GVL Narasimha Rao, Priyanka Chaturvedi has a point to make. Please listen to that point and respond to the question. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you go ahead and make your point so that I can get him to respond to your question. Yes, go ahead.
Just a couple of things. Let's remember, he went in as a defense minister even without winning a Lok Sabha seat. He went via the Rajya Sabha. He wasn't elected to the Lok Sabha, neither has he been elected to govern as a chief minister of Goa. Let's make that clear. Now, considering he makes these charges of, Congress was waiting for the highest bidder to become...
Manmohan Singh was prime minister.
I would want to know how much has Parrikar paid all the alliances that he has managed to stitch up together to become the Chief Minister of Goa. So don't come up with these baseless, ridiculous charges to justify what you all have done. What is very clear is what the people are protesting outside the Raj Bhavan today, saying that Manohar Parrikar is not their Chief Minister. They refuse to have him as a Chief Minister. And even if you talk about MGP being in an alliance with you, like you compared the Congress and the NCP, even that does not justify the legitimacy that you all have given to this government. 13 plus 3 makes 16. It doesn't even bring you to 18. So again, it is the question of the governor as to why the governor did not deem fit
have
to
supported
first give the
independence.
single largest party a chance. Single largest party, please do not come up with cooked up stories.
Let me get Narasimha Rao to respond to that. Let me please get GVL Narasimha Rao to respond to that. Priyanka Chaturvedi, you made your point. Please let me give GVL Narasimha Rao a chance to respond to those allegations.
I think she's...
GVL Narasimha Rao, the point is clear. What they're saying is they were the single largest party. The role of the... Let me finish.
Yes,
the role of the governors and the question...
First?
And... Sure,
no,
go ahead.
I need to respond to this. Look at the hypocrisy of the Congress party. Look at the hypocrisy of the Congress party. They're questioning Mr. Parrikar having been elected to Rajya Sabha to become defense minister. You made Manmohan Singh Prime Minister of this country for 10 years. And he was only in Rajya Sabha. He never fought an election in those 10 years. And he was actually a nominee Prime Minister.
The Prime Minister of the country.
Did he fight Lok Sabha? Did he contest Lok Sabha election? Did he contest Lok Sabha election? Did he contest Lok Sabha election? He did not. He was a nominee Prime Minister. Come on, stop this hypocrisy. Stop this hypocrisy. Stop this hypocrisy.
On his face, on him as the Prime Minister.
So, Mr. Parrikar, with him as Chief Minister, I think this is not fair. This is not fair. I can shout her down. I can shout her down.
Okay. We're not going to make this a shouting match. We are not going to have people shout at each other in this show. We will not have people shout at each other in this show. I do want to take the focus away from Goa for a minute. And Priyanka Chaturvedi, I have a question to direct at you. While there are many questions that still the BJP will have to answer on the governor and other points, GVL Narasimha Rao, I'll come to you in just a bit. Okay, go ahead and make your point, but we'll have you make it very briefly before I go on to the next topic, which is what Rahul Gandhi said in Parliament today about a little downer as far as Uttar Pradesh is concerned. GVL Narasimha Rao, make your point first.
No, the Congress is questioning Mr. Parrikar's legitimacy. He was the elected Chief Minister of Goa in 2000, from 2012 to 15, before he 14, before he joined the central cabinet. He was the Chief Minister. He was the chief ministerial candidate, the most popular leader in Goa. You don't even have a face in Goa, and you want to really come and tell us, you are questioning the credibility of Mr. Parrikar. Because of him, all the parties and independents have supported this government. He is the only leader of Goa. You have nobody. I think you have got 17 seats despite Rahul Gandhi. I concede that. But you don't have any leader, credible leader. You were only looking for the highest bidder to become the chief minister. And there you really slipped up.
GVL Narasimha Rao and Priyanka Chaturvedi. GVL Narasimha Rao and Priyanka Chaturvedi. I don't want to get into the Raj Sabha versus the legislature in Goa, but I do want to ask you a question, Priyanka Chaturvedi. The Congress is almost routed in Uttar Pradesh. You won just 7 seats of the 105 contested. And Rahul Gandhi says these are little ups and downs in the life of a party that's in the opposition. Isn't that extremely discouraging and demotivating for your cadres on the ground? Is a 7 tally a little loss in Uttar Pradesh?
No, I think he said it in context to all the elections that have happened, where he categorically said we've lost 2, we have won 3. And 2, we have Bharatiya Janata Party through their illegitimate, undemocratic means is trying to govern despite being voted out of power. Whether it was in Punjab, they were the junior partners, they were voted out of power. In Goa, they have been voted decisively out of power. And in Manipur, they are trying to follow an undemocratic, unethical method to come into power. This is what they did in Arunachal Pradesh. So he was speaking in context to all the 5 states that went into an election. He himself was the first one to admit that this was a decisive victory for the Bharatiya Janata Party in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. He even acknowledged the Prime Minister for that. And all he is saying here is that we need some structural changes. We have faced the loss. We need some structural changes in the organization, which will be done. And this is a loss which we would take some time to recover from. But however, it is not something that we will not be able to do simply because we have assessed what were the immediate fallouts of that particular result.
All right. I am out of time here. I do want to quickly squeeze in a last question to Majeed Memon, if I may. And Mr. Majeed Memon, the question really is between the Congress and the BJP, the struggle for power, many people will believe the hunger for power. Where do democratic traditions go from here? Fractured mandates, democratic traditions, majority is taken care of, but what about the rest?
No, I must tell you one thing. See, with that great victory registered in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand by BJP, they ought to have been a little more charitable and ought to have been gracious in sparing Goa for Congress and would have avoided resorting to this kind of manipulative method and in trying to impress upon the governor to have some kind of a political leaning towards it to permit or invite its leader to form a government. I was wanting to tell Mr. Rao that if Parrikar was that popular, if Parrikar, as you said, was the most popular person in Goa, you could have pitched him right before the election. You could have suggested him to the voters that he would be the face for chief minister. You would have got more than 20 seats very well. You had no reason to worry. Why did you not do that? When ultimately when you lose the state, that you ask the defense minister to come down from there and then do all kinds of manipulations and then form the government, it is unethical and it does not befit, the great success that BJP was able to get from the important and major states and in small state like Goa. I never expected that Narendra Modi and Amit Shah would resort to this kind of adding yet another small state into their bag, so that's to show that they are captured entire India. I think it is a little bit embarrassing for anybody who is independent of Congress and who would speak about democracy and people's mandate as the primary consideration.
We live in very interesting times indeed. On that note, thank you very much, Mr. Majeed Memon, Mr. GVL Narasimha Rao, and none other than Priyanka Chaturvedi for joining us on this rather heated exchange, the battle of the ballot.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/etnow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at etnowlive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/etnow.